Hey, what's going on, everyone? I can tell you right now, hand on my heart, that I probably listen to more video game music than I listen to anything else. Video game music, and just obviously video games, as we know, has been a absolutely integral part of my life. And I can listen back to video game music and put myself in exactly that moment where I first heard it or played it the most, and I can almost use it like a calendar, like a nostalgic calendar, to remember the time where just everything just felt, absolutely amazing. And this is what music does, right? It touches a part of your soul that they say is one of the last senses that you can feel, before you die. If you listen to music, it's one of the most, tolerable things that you can hear. As morbid as that might sound, but music is just life. It's one of our greatest achievements. And video game music, nostalgia-wise, for many people, I know for a fact, is probably more memorable than the games themselves. The actual music itself could be more memorable than the actual game itself. So I wanted to create a video to talk about some of my most nostalgic video game songs. And trust me, there are loads. Absolutely loads, considering the amount of games I've played and the amount of games that I've utterly fallen in love with. But I'm going to try and keep it to a small amount here, the ones that I probably play more often than anything else, and the ones that tickle my gaming nostalgic bones more than anything else. And this is what I love about video game music. Like I said, it just transports you back in time, and I can't think of anything else in my life, nostalgia-wise, that can give me goosebumps still. And like I said, take me back to those exact moments, and I can remember them just like they were yesterday, thanks to the music. So I'm gonna go through some games, like I said. Some of these games aren't necessarily the best games ever made, or even my favorite games ever made, although actually, they all are fantastic games, and many of them are some of my favorite games ever. But even the music itself, it might not be the best from that particular game, but these particular tracks are the ones that really connect to me. Like I said, give me those goosebumps and bring on the most nostalgia. And of course, after I've gone through all of these, I will very much love to hear what your most nostalgic video game songs are, because I'm sure every single person who plays video games will have some video game music nostalgia attachment to some sort of game, whether it is old or even if it's new. So yeah, let's get started. My first game is Sonic R, and the track is called Living in a City. Now, out of all the levels in Sonic R, it was the nighttime city level that I enjoyed the most. I loved its design. It was probably the most maze-like level in the game, but I loved the art style of it, the graphics at the time. I loved neon lights, and all that stuff. So having a city and running through it, and with such a great soundtrack, every time I think of Sonic R, it's not like supersonic racing at the end or anything like that. It's living in a city that touches the nostalgia strings the most. And I absolutely love this song, and it just takes me back to the days when I was in my Saturn height. And I don't care what anyone says, I absolutely loved Sonic R, regardless of all this flaws and stuff. Loved Traveler's Tales, loved Sonic Team back in the day, and Sonic R and this song just remain one of my most nostalgic video game songs from that game and from that era. The next game I want to talk about is Pilot Wings 64, and the song is from the Birdman stage. Now, once you made your way through Pilot Wing 64 you can unlock extra modes, and one of the extra modes was the Birdman mode, and it was just a free flying, just fly around the islands and just carefree, taking photos without a care in the world. You could just fly around, and in the background you had this awesome, cool, chilled out track, which is possibly one of the most chilled out video game songs I've ever heard. Every time I hear this song, it just chills me out. It takes me back to those times where I used to just sit on my bed, my big 32 inch CRTV with my N64, and I'd fly around these islands just just doing nothing. I just loved it, especially the nighttime level with the stars and the moon. It was just so relaxing, so chilled, and the song just made this level really. And every time I hear it, it just takes me back to when I was in my old bedroom, still in my parents' house, and just playing Pilot Wing 64 and just absolutely loving this stage and this song. Metroid Prime is, as I said before, is near gaming perfection. It's easily my top 5 games ever made, and the title screen music, more than any other music in the game. You can mention Fendra and the drifts and all the stuff, the underwater frigate music. It's all perfection. But the title screen music, once again, there's nothing else like it in video games. Literally nothing else. And when you turned on that game, I bet you most people who fell in love with that game once again would not skip that title screen until a good portion of the music was done, and the game demo would roll in. You'd press start then, because that title screen and that music is sensational, absolutely sensational. It took me back to the time when I was working in a game shop and I wanted Metroid Prime there and then. As soon as it was released in the US, before it was released in the UK, I bought my Platinum GameCube just to get that game early. And Metroid Prime and that title screen music is just, there's nothing else like it. Goosebumps every time. Absolutely love it. Next we have Christmas Nights, Into Dreams, and the actual track is Dreams Dreams, the a cappella version, which is the credits to Christmas Nights. And I done a Christmas Nights video on this channel before, because I play it every Christmas. Just takes me back to that Saturn era. And every time I completed the game, I just used to love this a cappella version of the song. It was just so gospel. And my mum is a very gospel person. I'm not. But this song itself, it just chilled me out. I just loved it.
In a dream I could see you are not far away. Anytime, any place, I can see your face. You're that special one that I've been.
I just love the lyrics. I just love the sound to it, and it just gives me goosebumps. It just takes me back to the Saturn. I mean, the Saturn is my second favorite console ever, and this was just Sega 90s, and it's just perfect for me. I absolutely love it. A bit cheesy, some of you might think, but for me, we're all gonna have our own little nostalgic songs, and this one just was just there at the right time.
So sweet in your eyes.
The opening to Ridge Racer Type 4, I say, is one of the best FMV openings in video games. I absolutely love it. It's perfection. And the intro song is just screams PlayStation 90s to me, and Namco, and I miss that era, because everything just felt just polished perfection.
He's the one for me. There's no place I'd rather be. Yeah. To the finish line. Everywhere you look, he's right on time.
Whenever I hear this song, I got a little funny story actually, because I love this song so much, and I loved how the dial turned up, and how the girl, I can't remember the name, it's like Rico or Naomi or something like that, I can't remember the name. She sits up out of bed, and I actually used to have my PlayStation. My bed was right next to my TV, my PlayStation was there, and if my alarm clock would wake me up, and I'd quickly turn on my PlayStation just for that song to come on, and I'd also use that as like a wake-up song and sit up when she sat up. Really, really stupid, but it's just one of those little things I'd done, and I just I just fell in love with the song, and it just reminded me of waking up in the mornings during those times. As I've stated before, Panzer Dragoon Saga is it's probably, even though I say Breath of the Wild is not my favorite game ever made, nostalgia wise, Panzer Dragoon Saga just sits there as well. It was just one of those games that once again was just for me absolute perfection. And the ending theme to this game, there's still nothing else like it in video games. Literally nothing else. I've come across nothing else like it. It's just phenomenal, and for me, it's just almost quite possibly my favorite video game song ever. Just for the end of this game, it just the amount of times I completed the game just to hear this song, because I didn't have the soundtrack back then, it's way back in '98, and sometimes you just had to play the music off the game itself, and I used to do it all the time, just complete the game to hear this ending song, and I'll get goosebumps every single time I listen to this, absolutely every single time. Next you got Mario 64. You first hear this song in Jolly Roger Bay, and I would argue this is also one of the best video game songs ever composed. Koji Kondo is just, he's the best in the industry. I'll do a video one day on my favourite video game composer. I already tell you that Koji Kondo is number one. I mean, this song is it just screams video games to me, and there's nothing else like it in Mario 64. It's just, when every time you hear it, once again you get goosebumps. It takes you back to those first moments where you have to swim down to the pirate ship, and you see the eel and all this stuff, and the music changes pace, and my God, I mean, it's just Jolly Roger Bay or Die Die Doc song, whatever you want to call it. It's just nostalgic perfection. Next up, we got Ocarina of Time, and it's the I nearly picked I nearly picked the windmill song from Ocarina of Time, because I used to love it. I used to absolutely love that song. But I feel nostalgia wise, nothing beats the opening title screen music. I think for many people who played Ocarina of Time when it first came out, this intro was like unlike anything you'd ever heard before or ever seen. It was just incredible, and the fact that it came on every single time you fired up the game, I can't remember a time where I actually skipped it. I would just listen to it. Every single time I turned on that game, I'd watch the intro, and it just encapsulated the absolute magic and wonder and perfection that was Ocarina of Time. And whenever I heard it, once again those goosebumps rolled down my body, and it's just, I mean, this is video gaming, right? Video gaming perfection. Next, you got Link's Awakening, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, which was actually my first Zelda game that I played. Back when it came out, my first Zelda game was Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, way back then, early 90s, late 80s, and yeah, Marin's song was just, I remember when I first heard it, as she started singing in the village, and at the time, that music was some of the best that you'd ever heard. It was just so memorable, so catchy, so heartbreaking as well at the end. Oh my god, the end of that game, I remember almost tearing up. I was younger, I listened to that ending and shit, and that song was singing. It was just Link's Awakening and Marion's song is just for me, it's just almost the pinnacle of nostalgic video gaming music. It just takes me back to those times where I used to huddle in the dark, have a little light on my Game Boy screen, and trying to see the Game Boy where I didn't have my Game Boy light yet, and just play Link's Awakening, which is another game I can probably say is my favorite Zelda. Once again, Breath of the Wild, best game ever made, my favorite Zelda. But nostalgia wise, once again, Link's Awakening could just happily sit there. Final Fantasy VI to this day is still one of those, it's still the best Final Fantasy in my opinion, and it's just so full of emotion, the best characters in the series. Final Fantasy VI was a roller coaster of emotions for me when I actually finally got to play it, which is not at the time on the Super Nintendo. Even though I did play it on the Super Nintendo, I didn't play it until years later after it came out. And when you first hear Awakening, which is a song which I'll play now. When you first hear that, and once again, I'd never heard anything like it on the Super Nintendo before. It was such a sad song, but it was so much more inside there for the character it related to, and it's so hard to encapsulate a character with music. Really hard, especially in video games. Exceptionally hard to do it, and this song just captured Terra and her character absolutely perfectly, and every single time I hear it, it just takes me back to when I actually played that game, and oh my, by Chrome, it's just incredible. I love underwater games, or just underwater levels, and very few games have captured underwater music perfectly. You got Jolly Roger Bay, like I said, and then you've got Donkey Kong Country, which is the water level. Once again, the sound on here, it was unheard of on the Super Nintendo at the time. And when you first played it, I used to, because you didn't need oxygen in that level, I used to literally just leave the game on, leave that level on, and I'd have that music playing in the background, because aquatic ambience is just, oh my god. I mean, nostalgia wise, this just takes you back to the 60-bit era, and even to this day, there's very few water level songs that can match this masterpiece of a song. Its sound is so unique to the Super Nintendo, I used to just sit there, and you can watch the animation of the characters, the animation of the creatures. If you got to the edge of the screen, just enough before the octopus, you'd actually see the octopus's idle animation with its tentacles curling in and out, and then you got a bit closer, it finally started rotating around the level. But aquatic ambience is just, my god, I mean, nostalgia. I get goosebumps just talking about it. Terranigma takes me back to a time when I used to live with a very close friend of mine, and we used to just play Super Nintendo games, N64 games, getting drunk, just messing around. And he introduced me to Terranigma at this time, and it just instantly became one of my most favorite RPGs ever. And every time I hear the overworld theme, which I still think is one of the best overworld themes ever, it just takes me instantly back to that time. It was like early 2000 and stuff like that. And once again, another SNES song, Super Nintendo song, it's just so unique to the console, and the SNES just sounded amazing. I mean, listen to this. probably hum this song most days, and it's on one of my most active playlists that I have on YouTube and stuff. And the technical overworld theme is just nostalgia wrapped up beautifully. Now, like I said, nostalgia-wise, there's a lot of tracks that I could put at number one, but I think nostalgia-wise for me, Mooderland in Super Mario Land on a Game Boy is possibly my most nostalgic video game song ever. I could hum this to perfection. I do it, at least once a week. Sometimes I do it, I don't even realize I'm doing it, and it just takes me back to when my Game Boy was my NES. I didn't have a NES back then. My neighbor has a NES. My best friend had a NES. We grew up then, and you can afford every console. I had a Master System. I had a Commodore. I had to jump straight to the Super Nintendo. I didn't miss out on the NES because, like I said, my best friend and my neighbor had a NES each, and they pretty much had every must-play NES game that you could have played. So NES-wise, I still got nostalgia from that era. I got it all. I played the NES as if I owned it myself. But the Game Boy was essentially my NES replacement. So Super Mario Land was my Super Mario Bros. Kirby's Dream Land was my Kirby, and Link's Awakening was my Legend of Zelda. I completed Super Mario Land so many times. I got all the Easter eggs, all the secrets. But this level, this song, is just, for me, it just gives me goosebumps. Like I said, every single time, more than any single video game song that I could think of, probably. But like I said, every single song I've mentioned, and I can mention a wealth of other songs. Nostalgia-wise, video game music is me. It's an integral part of my life, like I said, and takes me back to those times where I was young, where I was a teenager, where I was a young adult in my 20s, and yeah, it's just perfection, and I love video game music. So yeah, like I said, those are some of my most nostalgic video game songs. Like I said, I love to hear what your most nostalgic video game songs are. They take all of us back to those special moments, just like a lot of things that we love in this world. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace.